In business, one of the most common questions asked is, how do you make more money? It's cool to make some money, but how do you grow? How do you expand your business? How do you scale your business? In this video, I'm joined by someone who specializes in helping people grow and scale their business, make more money, and achieve more leads. Money Briggs,
What's going
great to
on?
have you on, man.
How are you?
I'm great, man. How are
Good,
you?
good, good. I can't complain, can't complain.
Definitely. So let's talk to it. Let's talk about what the people really want to know.
Okay.
So lead generation, that's what you specialize in, helping people make more money, helping them make more money by getting more leads in their pipeline. So first things first, before we even get into that, let's talk to somebody who's newer in business, right? What is a lead in the first place and why is a lead important? And another question for you. I gave you like 5 questions at once.
No, go ahead.
But what's the difference between a lead and an actual client?
The lead is so important because without leads, you don't have a business, right? So the leads are individuals who have identified that what you offer, they find value in. So much to the point that they exchange their contact information to get more information from you, right? So I don't think someone is a lead until I have the ability to send them an email or give them a phone call. Once I have that specific contact information and they provided that to me under the thought that I was going to provide them with something valuable, I don't dictate that or define that as a lead, right? So I think that's a lead. The difference between a lead and a client is the client has elevated from the lead. The lead says, what you have is so important to me, or I'm interested enough to give you my contact information. The client says, what you have is so important or valuable enough that I'm willing to give you my money. So they both have some level of value that they're exchanging with you based off of their perception of the value you can offer. The lead is saying my contact information is a valuable piece of information. The client is saying my money is a valuable piece to me, and both are exchanging for what you have valuable. So I tell clients all the time that if you can't get someone's money, at least get their contact information. That's the second best thing that you can receive and develop in a relationship and providing value to others.
That's good. I'm glad you clarified that because like I dealt with people and it's like they got 50,000 followers on Instagram, but they're not making any money from it. But they're like, okay, I got all these followers. So the followers don't count as leads, right?
Right. So for me, a follower wouldn't count as a lead. There may be some who, even still, there may be some who pitch directly from their social media page, right? But until the transaction is done, they don't have the contact information. And here's what I think about is if social media goes down, can I still reach out to you? Can I still call you? Can I still email you? Right. And so to me, that's a very slippery slope when you just equate followers to leads.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because there's a step of trust, vulnerability that a lead is giving you. And I can't speak on how sacred people's personal information is to them.
Yeah.
And so if they're willing to give that up for you, that to me is above a follower. So I
sure.
across my pipeline, I think about followers, leads, prospects, and then clients, right? So followers, I don't have their contact information.
Okay.
Leads, I have the contact information. Prospect, you booked a call with me and we've had a discussion around my offer. And then client is you actually paid me to start this process, me providing the value to you in deeper measure.
And this goes for any industry, right? So you said follower, lead, prospect, client.
Yeah.
Okay, got you. Yeah, that's a great clarification because honestly, man, like I didn't really know the difference. Like I got a lot of business from social media. That's how I was able to scale my business was through social media. But I didn't know like the difference between like getting contact information, things like that. I just had a bunch of followers and I would post and people would reach out in DMs and I would just manually reach back out to them. But I wish I was collecting emails a lot sooner. Like being able to drip them, which is things we'll get into, like set up automations. I had a little bit of automations, but not to the level of where it should be, where someone like you can, explain to the people. But before we get into that though, how'd you get into the space? Like, how did you start in the lead generation space? Like, were you just born into it or?
Nah, so I started off, ironically enough, in ministry is what actually got me here, right?
Okay.
And so you got to draw people to your events. You have to draw people to, any specials that we were having, things of that nature. And that's what really got me into the marketing side. That's where I got into graphic design, and that's where I got into website design and so on and so forth. And so once you start on that side of marketing, then it is your follow-ups. It is making sure that okay, you register to come to this event, whether it's in addition to a church service, church service itself, like you registered to come to this event. Now let's make sure that you actually show up to the event,
Mm-hmm.
right? So that process and engagement, I'm of the opinion that most people who grow up in ministry or who grow up as Christians, that they're naturally guided to being entrepreneurs or to be.
I was just gonna say that.
Yeah,
I was
because
just
I
gonna say
mean,
that.
if you think about it, this is probably gonna get me in some trouble, right? But honestly, the whole process, it is a sales process
Yeah.
because you're taking something that you believe, you're sharing it with others.
Okay, all right. So PSA. So we did some research, and it looks like a lot of people that are watching, you're not subscribed to the channel. So please do me a favor, because I'm giving you guys these free videos, free high-level information on real estate and real estate investing. Please, just for me. All you gotta do is click the subscribe button to subscribe to the channel. Oh, also, just bonus, just share it with a friend who can find this helpful. Thank you.
And then others are either converting or they're not converting. They have questions. You overcome those objections utilizing the knowledge that you have around your faith. That's what they call apologetics, right? And that's something that's very similar to the sales process. You have a conviction about the solution that you're able to offer someone. You go out and you share that conviction with other people. They're going to give you objections as to why this is not true. You have to have enough faith, belief, knowledge, and understanding in which you're offering to overcome those objections, to convert them to your way of thinking. So I always say sales is just a transfer of confidence, right? So the more that I believe in what I'm offering, the easier it becomes to express that. And then if there's objections, I can turn that, take the objection and re-educate on a different idea to try to get the other party to come into alignment with the belief that I have.
Yeah, that's good. And I noticed you mentioned the offer, which is something that I love to talk about. Honestly, I think the offer is probably the most important part of your process. Like, I know a lot of people want to focus on branding, they want to focus on everything else, but the offer, I feel like, is where it starts. Because if you have a trash offer, doesn't matter if you have the most beautiful branding and colors and the best website. If your offer's trash, no one cares,
Yeah.
What would you say? Would you say the offer is the most important part, or would you say there's other things that are more important?
I think marketing, to me, I will put as the most important.
Okay.
The only reason that I say it like that is if you have nobody to present your offer to,
Yeah.
no matter how great the offer is, right?
That's true.
You're
That's a good point.
limiting
That's a good
the
point.
exposure of the offer.
Yeah, that's a
Right.
good point.
So at the beginning of it, we know that there's a sales funnel. Go through attraction, acquisition, ascension, activation, like going through this funneling ability. If I don't have anyone to position my offering to, if I don't have anyone that finds my offering engaging enough to want to have a sales conversation, right? Like that's the top of the funnel. And so if nothing is coming into the top of the funnel, it minimizes my opportunity to have something come out the bottom of the funnel. When I think about marketing though, the base of marketing is the message.
Yeah.
And that is, I think, more important maybe than the marketing itself or the offer, is how well I'm able to communicate and articulate what I'm offering, right? I always say the message is the seed. When planted in soil, produces the fruit of sales. It starts with the message.
Yeah.
Once I understand the message, I'm able to articulate that. I can put it into soil, different marketing opportunities, and then from there, I get the fruit of the sale, which is based around that offer. But marketing would really, if I had to pinpoint it down, like the messaging is so important.
Okay. So if I'm looking to scale my business right now, or even if I'm brand new, you're saying like the very first thing I should spend most of my time in is the marketing.
Yeah, is getting that message right. When you are starting off, you have to be able to communicate not just features and benefits, but transformation, right? So the clearer that you are able to communicate that transformation, the more frequent you have people inquiring about your offer.
Yeah.
If you are unclear around the transformation that you have, then that lack of clarity will actually wind up impacting your cash flow.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's just a transfer of confidence. So the more clear I get around how can I take someone from point A to point B, and I can paint that picture for them, and I can show them the transformation that they're able to encounter, at that point, then I can lead them to the offer. But what I think happens is a lot of times people don't think about that transformation. So one thing I teach clients, and I'll share here with you guys, is the best way to define your message. This is gold, what I'm about to share with you, right?
Okay, I'm listening.
So if they take a piece of paper, draw a line down the middle of the piece of paper, Okay. On the left side, you're going to write down the emotions that people feel before they work with you, right? So I'll ask you, how do investors who are wanting to get into wholesaling or people wanting to get in real estate, how do they feel prior to working with you?
Broke.
Broke. Okay. All right, cool. So tell me the emotions that come with being broke.
Stressed out, angry. What's a good word? Confused.
Okay. So we use those: stressed out, angry, confused. And you said, why do they feel that way? Because they're broke,
Yep,
right?
exactly.
All right, cool. So now this is what someone's story is before they work with you. The line down the middle is going to represent the point of transformation. This is now after they work with you. How do they feel?
You
Right?
want me to answer that? Or
Yeah,
you
yeah,
say-
yeah, yeah. How do they feel after they work with
They're
you?
happy because they're making money.
They're happy, right? Because they're making money.
Yeah.
All right. And what did you help them to do that allowed them to make money?
Taught them wholesaling. Taught them
Taught
how
them
to do it.
wholesaling.
Okay.
Okay. And what can they do now that they couldn't do before?
They can make money in wholesaling.
Okay. So, but tell me what the money from wholesaling allows them to do.
In vacations, taking care of family.
Okay.
They can put on some weight because they're eating good now.
Okay.
You know, it's a lot of things they
Right.
can.
If we just take this exercise,
Yeah.
we can create a message for you that say, hey, before people work with me, they feel lost, they feel confused, they feel angry because they're broke. But after working with me, they feel X, Y, and Z because they're making money. And now they're able to take vacations because I taught them how to wholesale. Right? Like you can create messaging now around that and create marketing around
That's
that
good.
messaging.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that messaging, if you come up to somebody and you just share with them, they like, what do you do? Man, I take people from being lost, broken, angry, from being broke, and to being able to vacation by teaching them wholesaling so that they're happy, satisfied, and feeling valued. That's a message.
Yeah.
And now your content can reflect that message in different ways through your trainings, through your courses, through your classes, through your testimonials. That starts with the message though.
Yeah, that's really good. And that right there, that's where people can make content off of that too. Because when people think of marketing, sometimes they may think, oh, it's got to be a fancy website, things like that. But one of the most common questions that people ask me is like, okay, what should I post? You just gave people, that's like, you can make like 20 pieces of content just off of that right there. Make a long form piece of content. You can clip that up, probably get like 5-10 pieces of content from each long form one. So that's like unlimited right there. So that's a great gem that you gave people. Okay. We said marketing is very important for you. So if I am, let's say I've never made a piece of content before, what's one piece of advice that you would give me?
You never made a piece of content before. What's the outcome that you want?
I want to gain an actual lead.
All right. So if you never made a piece of content before and you're new to the industry,
Actually, let me reframe this. I'm not new to the industry. I have prior experience. Let's say I'm not me. I'm just Jim Jones. I'm 50 years old. You know, I've been in the industry for a long time. I have great word of mouth. That's how I've been getting all my clients. But I understand it's 2025 now. Got to hop on social medias. I've got to do ads. I've got to do these different things. So now I'm trying to get into that content space. So I have the clients, but I don't necessarily have the testimonials or anything. What should I do for my piece of content?
yeah. So there's this framework that I love to share when it comes to content creation, right? It's easy to remember. It's something people can write down. So they're like watching with their phone, probably good to go to their notes, you know, let your little YouTube thing go to the side. And so we're going to write down 3 things. Number 1, so their inspiration. Secondly, information. Third, implementation. These become 3 types of content that you can create. The inspiration is the storytelling that you're using. The information is the education, and then the implementation is the equipment that you're given, pretty much just your call to action. So with your inspiration, you're looking to move people's hearts. This is where you're getting into the storytelling to get people connected with what you're doing. So that may be why you got into real estate. That may be some stories of the lives that have changed from you being in real estate. That may be the community impact you're able to provide because of the money that you make from real estate. That may be the child who's now getting a better education because their parents moved them into a better school zone. So those stories is kind of where I would start. That's that inspiration moving the heart. Next is going to be the information. This is where you're moving their heads, right? So now you start to give the practical reason behind why real estate is the way to go. There's a plethora of other investment opportunities, but you're going to talk about why real estate is the method that should be taken to accomplish whatever end that you have. And the last is implementation. This is where you're moving their hands. This is the call to action. This is how do I now work with you? Now that I'm inspired, now that I'm informed, how do I work with you? So if I've never made a piece of content before, I'm just following that framework: inspiration,
Okay.
information, implementation.
That's really good. Okay, say that one more time. So inspiration,
Information.
information, and implementation.
Yeah.
Okay, that's really good. So somebody, y'all can do that right now. Everybody who's struggling to make a piece of content, you have no reason to not make any content anymore. I'm talking to you behind the camera who doesn't want to make that piece of content. No more excuses. Okay, so I love we talked about this marketing piece. So let's talk about one of the main aspects in which you do, which is the automation, right? Let's talk to that. What got you in that space? Because a lot of people just focus exclusively on the marketing and like being able to, get an audience. But what you really specialize in is getting those audience and getting them drip, getting them nurtured, getting them converted to actually money in the pocket, which is what we should care about at the end of the day.
So I think so much goes towards lead generation that people forget that lead generation is just one component. After lead generation, you have the lead capture, and then you have the lead nurture.
Yeah.
Right. And a lot of times when we are so focused on getting the sell and we're looking for just those who are ready to buy, we miss out on those who are interested but may not be in position right now. And so months go by and this person does a transaction with someone else. And we're sitting there wondering, like, dang, but what happened? Well, somebody else was in front of them at the moment that they were ready to buy, right? And so with the automation, it's about more so the nurturing aspect of it, is duplicating yourself. So for me, the more and more I grow, I love conversation. And I think every entrepreneur should love conversation, right? Because conversations lead to conversions. The more conversations I have, the more opportunity I have for conversion. And thing though becomes the more and more, I guess, in demand you become, the less ability you have to do all of the nurturing components that you normally would want to do. And so what automation has done for me is it's allowed me to duplicate myself. I know what I would say under certain circumstances. And so if somebody signs up for one of my programs, I know how I would introduce myself to them, and I know how they may respond to that introduction and what I would say next. And so the automation allows me, like I said, to duplicate myself. And I think that's that conversion and that nurture portion is things that we don't think about enough, especially when we talk about leads. The lead has to go through a journey. And that customer journey, the preordained steps someone takes to go from not knowing you to becoming your brand advocate, right? Like I pre-established things that move people from different stages. And as they're moving from different stages, I want to add as much value as I possibly can. And if I can't do it for 100 people at the same time, like I'm limited because I'm finite, right? And time and energy and attention and focus, then I can lend some of that to technology to do some of those repeatable tasks. And so I got into automation pretty much because we started growing. Started growing too fast, you know?
That makes sense. I'm glad what you said about the client journey too. That's like a huge, huge thing. I tell my agents all the time, because especially like newer agents, they can get upset. They're like, well, I feel like I just got this lead. Like, why are they not ready to go today? By equivalent to like dating, for example, you not just gonna see somebody like, and they look good and you marry them the next day. That's not how it works. Like you gotta take them on a few dates, gotta text them a little bit, hop on FaceTime with a little things like that. They may ghost you for a little bit, then they may come back around, but you still got to stay in front of them also.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, I think that's why the journey is so important. The automations will help out with that tremendously, because like you said, at the end of the day, you're only one person. And even if you got a team behind you, it's only a limited amount of y'all. You got unlimited payroll, which trust me, I've dealt with heavy payroll before. It's not a problem you want. But so this will help clone you. And like you said, like you can have 1,000 leads in your pipeline, but they all think they're talking to you if you really do it the right way. You have your copy the right way, everything like that. So if I am somebody in a position, let's say I'm not me again, I'm somebody who has a good amount of leads, but I'm struggling with that follow-up thing and I'm looking to get into automations, what would you suggest for me?
Again, it goes back to that customer journey, right? What are the stages that people go through that takes them from not knowing you to becoming your brand advocate? Wherever those stages are, your automation is leading them from one stage to the next, to the next, to the next. And, for me, Daniel Priestley has this framework that I really love, which is leads, appointments, proposals, sales, right? Calls it lapse.
Okay.
And so for most businesses, you can use that as a foundational journey. But depending on your business, you may have subcategories of that. You know, in real estate, I know you got to do buyer brokers agreements, you got to do, you know, home searches all the way, peekers and all that stuff before you get to clear to close. But if you just use the lapse portion, right?
Yeah.
So, okay, once somebody comes in and they are a lead, what do I need to do to get them to book an appointment with me? Okay, now that they booked an appointment with me, what do I need to do to send out a proposal? Okay, now that I send out the proposal, what do I need to do for the sales? We use that same framework, the 4 A's: attraction, acquisition, ascension, activation. Somebody comes in, how do I take them from not knowing me to becoming a follower? All right, once they're a follower, how do I take them from becoming a follower to becoming a financier, i.e. somebody who finances my company? All right, they bought one time, they're a customer. How do I turn them into family, right? The saying is, you come to my house one time, you're a guest, come again, you're family. So how do I get this person to buy again and again? Then last is fire starter. How do I get them to spread my message like wildfire? So now once I have this customer journey, I can say what conversations need to happen from one place to the next in order for me to move somebody along. So it really starts with you sitting down with the paper and saying, what is my process for the customer journey? And then what conversations happen or need to happen to engage people to move them from one stage to the next stage.
That's good. Okay, so let's hypothetical again.
Yep.
I'm somebody in real estate. I'm watching this right now. I'm a real estate agent. I'm like, man, all this sounds good, but I've been doing everything off a notepad. You know, I don't have no leads. I don't have nothing set up. Do you have something for me? Actually, I know you have something for me.
Yeah.
So tell me about what you got for me.
Yeah, so I mean, you've been using notepads like you way back. But so what we do, if somebody's coming to us with a situation like that where they don't have a lot of tech, and honestly, it's not always people who just have notepads. There are some real estate agents who have access to a CRM platform that their leadership provide that they just don't understand.
Yeah.
Or in order for them to make it work, they have to do zaps here. They have to bring this tool in and that tool in, and you know, they have to make sure, hope that it all works, and they have all of these other subscriptions to help their, you know, things go right. So what we've kind of done is we've consolidated all of that into one platform.
Okay.
And so when you work with us, you have a pre-built tool that is a few clicks and you're ready to go. We've actually just started a process that is the perpetual prosperity platform process. And what that means is once you come in, like let's say you don't know anything about tech, our team literally walks you through step by step how to activate things, provide you the support that you need in order to do the functionality that you have. And we put all of these tools again in one platform. So whether you're trying to run marketing campaigns through social media, through email, through text messages and the automations that we already built for you, or you're doing landing pages, like we just provided a one-stop shop that takes away the pressure of learning tech.
And where do I go to access this? Because like I'd be interested in that, right?
Yeah. So if you wanted to access this, the best thing to do is I want to actually have a conversation with you, right?
Okay.
So text the word consultation to 757-703-3211. You just text the word consultation. You'll get my calendar link. You get my calendar link. You can book a time that works best for you.
Okay.
And that's going to be one of the best ways. And you get it's really going to be me on the other side. So you'll book a call with me and we'll kind of go through and see what we need to do to put you on the right path.
And say that number again. We'll put it on the screen, but say that number again.
Yeah, so 757-703-3211. You're going to text the word consultation to that number.
That sounds good. Yeah, I think that could definitely be a helpful tool. And I mean, the purpose of this video is to help people grow and expand their business, and a tool like that, like super valuable.
And that's what it was intended for. You know, I feel like so many times now people, they're getting away from their zone of genius and what they wanted to do when they became entrepreneurs. And now they're doing these tedious tasks that they don't really care about. And it takes away more of their time from being effective, you know, in places where they should be. And so the tool that we have is called Flowspur. Flowspur is a combination of two words, flow and prosper. And the goal is that when you use this tool, you enter into a state of flow, meaning that you remove all of the barriers that keep you from operating at your highest and best potential. And then from that, from you doing the thing that you love, from you being in front of the client, from you talking and not having to worry about so much of the marketing or the follow-ups or whatever. When you do that, that value that you provide, that confidence that you have, that energy exchange causes you to prosper, right? Because now you're having more conversations, you're sharing more joy, you have more peace, and that's coming across and closing more sales.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
Money Briggs, appreciate you for
Appreciate you.
Appreciate you, man. This was super, super valuable. I know this is gonna help our entrepreneurs, gonna help them grow and scale their business, which is what it's about at the end of the day. So tell them, where can they find you at again?
Yeah, so on Instagram, you can find me at money.briggs. Again, phone number 757-703-3211. Facebook, you can find me Money Briggs, or facebook.com/money.dbriggs.
Bang. If you want to know anything about real estate investing, watch the next video. Bye.